Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special Tuesday edition of What Else Is On. I am Gregor Sprague, joined this time by my typical co-host, Corey Scott. Corey, how you doing?
Well, typical. What a word. That's not kind.
My inimitable co-host, and I will say that because I believe we are going up against the Night Attack and Padres Corner.
Yeah, that's true. This is a hard time slot. If you really want to live up to the show of What Else Is On, there's some better shows going right now.
We do have some competition,
but they do great in their podcast forms, and so you can listen to those on your drive to work. Whereas we have not done audio only yet, so maybe that behooves us.
Yeah. But yeah, so. And I just realized I left open the YouTube window, and I'm like, why am I hearing myself again?
I do that all the time. I'm sitting there, and I do the intro to the show, and then all of a sudden I do the intro start up in my ear again. I'm like, is this just, are you mocking me? Is this sort of like, you're telling me what I did wrong?
So we sort of hit on why we had the HAL 9000, the good HAL 9000, not the evil Daisy HAL 9000 of Evan yesterday, because he was only the floating circle doing the sound waves yesterday. Part one of the show, and not the typical you and me talking. So do you sort of want to tell everyone why you're a day late?
Oh, because I was, well, it really.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, bringing it back, it was a car accident because, unfortunately, I was driving and my phone had automatically downloaded some dumb U2 album, and I got really pissed off and just drove off the road and went at people. No, obviously that's not true. I rock an Android, but no, I was driving home from work yesterday and. I got rear-ended at a four-way stop. I was not moving. The person behind me decided that they wanted to move a lot, and it happened. It was an accident. He was very nice, and all in the end, we were both okay. Our cars seemed to be really worse for the wear. So I'm a little sore. I'm a little jumpy, but I'm fine. And I missed my Mountain Dew yesterday, so I get to open that up now. What I just realized every week. I come in here and I have my Mountain Dew for our show, and I've been using this bottle opener since the beginning of the show, or the beginning of this incarnation of it anyway, and I have not realized that this is a 3 doors down bottle opener, and I kind of feel like this mixed with the Mountain Dew makes me the biggest hick in all of Northern California. That and the fact that I'm from Michigan probably doesn't help in my case at all. So, I feel good. I just need a PBR, and I'll be fine.
Well, no. If you had a PBR in Northern California, that'd make you a hipster, wouldn't it?
In certain portions of California, maybe, but not in all of them. I got married in Red Bluff. I can tell you, Red Bluff and the rodeo, they don't hipster there. They really just like cheap beer.
Well, yeah. So let's talk a little SNL news here, because we have the news that and you pulled this up from TV Guide, that Michael Che is replacing Cecily Strong on Weekend Update.
Yeah, I mean, so this was a couple of things. One, I didn't realize that Michael Che has apparently been a writer for SNL for about a year and a half now, I guess since 2013. I knew that he had started working on The Daily Show as one of their correspondents. I don't know what his fake correspondent titles have been so far, because it's always our head, correspondent for this, or our lead black correspondent with Larry Wilmore, or things like that.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of started up. It seems like they've been introducing a few new people lately, and he's had a couple of bits that I've seen so far, and he's been pretty solid on it. But apparently he's going to pull back from that now to concentrate on this.
Yeah, he even tweeted them or tweeted about leaving there, because I mean, obviously you can't do 2 essentially 5-day-a-week jobs, even though SNL you only see the good freaking gosh, there's music on there. Oh, that scared the crap out of me because I went to the TV guide. They put music on there. But he even tweeted, I want to thank John Stewart, or talking about John Stewart, and the entire at the Daily Show staff for letting me do this. And then he tweeted, I had a fantastic time there, first class all the way. And essentially, I mean, you can't do 2 5-day-a-week jobs at the same time, because where you only see SNL, you only see the finished product on Saturdays. And obviously, if you're visiting New York, you could see, I think it's Thursdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays, they have the live audience dress rehearsals, where you can see some like some of the stuff that will make it, some of it will make to the cutting room floor and get cut. With that, essentially, that's where he wouldn't be able to do a Daily Show.
Now, I just have to point out, Daily Show's on 4 days a week. I don't know if they're coming out on Sunday or what, but at any rate,
I misspoke there. So
no, it's possible there's more that goes into it. Maybe he's doing something for John Oliver on Sundays. It's kind of funny because it seems like the Daily Show has cycled through a lot of talent already, and John is always very gracious when they move on to the next job, the next adventure. It is a nice springboard for some of these young comedians and stuff, but I get kind of nostalgic for some of the people who've gone. I really want Wyatt Cenac to come back. I haven't seen him really doing much of anything since, and I miss him on the show terribly. As far as Che on SNL, one of the things that I didn't realize is this is going to be their first time having 2 male anchors in a dual role on the news for that. They've always had either one anchor or a man and a woman together, except for when it was Tina and Amy. And so they have had 2 women before, but this will be the first time with 2 dudes, which is Devil's Three-Way, if I recall. But
this is actually a great quote from Lorne Michaels. And I guess they tried out a bunch of different. This, according to the Times, creator Lorne Michaels tried out a number of different combinations before deciding on Michael Che. Before deciding that Che was a better partner for Colin Jost, who joined strong at the Weekend Update desk midway through last season because Seth Meyers was leaving. Midway through last season, Michael's a strong writer and he's really funny. Lorne Michaels said, it was always difficult to make changes and make Update different from what's going before. It's a struggle to find an identity last season, he continued, because of what had come before had been pretty brilliant. And this I think is going to be pretty interesting to see, like you pointed out. I mean, with the fact that we've always had, like, I guess they probably tried, Colin Jost by himself, which I don't know how well that would work.
I haven't really been super impressed with Colin's delivery yet, but I haven't loved the news material the last couple of seasons. I mean, even before Colin was up there, but he was obviously one of the writers. I love Cecily, but I don't know that it's that I like her necessarily on the news, or if I just really enjoy her in general. Anytime she's up on screen, I seem to have some laughs because she's just so good. Her delivery is usually really good, but I think that I have seen her struggle a little bit on the reading of the news, which word to everybody, I do too. When I try to read stuff, doing the intros and stuff for the shows, I have some problems, and I make the text really big.
And actually, I guess this might not be solely Lorne Michaels' decision, because down at the bottom of the article, I guess Cecily Strong asked to be in more sketches.
Yeah, she put that out there as well. She said that she felt like this was something that she wanted to do. So she said on one of her social media things, don't feel bad for her unless you're the kind of person who likes to feel bad or be angry, and then more
Yeah.
power to you, player. But she's like, this just means that she gets to do the stuff that she likes to do more. And you and I talked about this a little bit before the show. Um, we've just lost one of the lead female players in the show with Nassim Pedrad leaving, and we've lost
This,
a ton of the new people that came on last season as well. So this is going to give her a lot of opportunity to shine in those sketches, which I think she already does. Again, obviously I'm biased, but
mhm.
even when doing the news and stuff like that, when she would show up in a skit, she would a lot of the times it would focus around her anyway. So I think that they're putting her in a very good position to be, one of the lead parts of the show at this point. Like a Kristen Wiig or a Tina Fey place where everybody's kind of like focusing on her as being one of the headliners.
Yeah, and also to add, Pete Davidson is the other new cast member who 'cause I remember seeing that in my feed, and he was it was on Ain't It Cool News, and they played one of his a YouTube clip of hit from him on Kimmel, where he talks about his racial ambiguity, where he'd be in clubs and the girls come like, "Are you Puerto Rican?" And I guess he'd be, before when he was younger, he'd be like, "No," but now he's like, "Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. What of it?" and all this stuff. But yeah, this is
Puerto
just
Rican, half a Rican, whatever it takes.
yeah. But no, I mean, this is just real interesting to see. I mean, like all this stuff. I'm actually right now trying to figure out who's all in there. Um, okay, I guess the featured players this season, the younger ones, Beck Bennett, Michael Che, Pete Davidson, Colin Jost, Kyle Mooney, and Zashir Zameda. So Beck Bennett's still in there, which I did not know that he was still that he survived
The culling.
and didn't get. Yeah,
I think these young
as
people need to go start their new Mad TV season or something like that. They need to jump over to Fox since I don't think their animation domination or whatever. No, what was the ADHD animation Saturday nights thing took off with Axe Cop
yeah,
and whatever the weird Archie playoff was.
yeah. So basically, the ones that left were Nassim Pedrad, John Milheiser, Kyle Mooney, Michael Bryan, Noel Wells, and Brooks Wheelan. They were all the ones that left from I believe from this season to
I'm gonna use the phrasing that was used for me when I left high school. I was invited not to return. I think that's what
yeah.
they got. But yeah, so it's obviously they're still making room for some new players on the show. Michael Che
Mhm.
obviously coming in as a writer to a specific role. Will he wind up in skits as well? Maybe. He's done other stuff too. It's just we'll have to see what happens. But I'm interested to see him in the news portion of it. He might bring something that it's been missing. Uh, but like I said, I was perfectly happy with Cecily there as far as her performance. I just
Yep.
want to see the
And
material
there
get a little bit better.
oh wow, and there's also five new writers this season.
Now that's what
Some
they need.
no, and this is actually cool. Um, some of these I've actually heard of. Allison Rich, a performer with the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York. Nick Rutherford, a member of Los Angeles-based comic or comedy group Good Neighbor. Good Neighbor. Um, sorry, I was reading through the rest of the Wikipedia page. Natasha Rothwell, a performer of the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York. She had previously auditioned to be on the show as part of the December 2013 casting call. as for asking for a black female cast member. Streeter Seidel, College Humor, front page editor. Jeremy Byler, writer on Inside Amy Schumer, and additionally Mike O'Brien, a writer from seasons 35 to 38, returned to the writing staff after one season in the cast. So Michael Bryan just went from being behind the scene or in front of the camera to behind the scenes, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good thing. And also, a quick note about Michael Che. He is the first African American to host Weekend Update, which is
That
cool
is
to
true.
see. Yeah.
That is true. So again, overall, it's nice to see it's not something that makes me feel upset because they just pulled Cecily out. It sounded like it was her decision, and then they looked for somebody to fill the role afterwards. So the new writers group that's more exciting to me.
Yep. And
just because I think they need to. Although they get a lot of people from Upright Citizens Brigade, so I hope that it brings some new ideas with it. Every skit almost seems like they're doing a show on the show. And that's been predominantly most of the writing for SNL for the last few years. It didn't used to be that way. I can think of maybe one or two skits that were in people's homes over the last couple of years. This is nice that maybe we can see it stretch the boundaries a little bit more.
Yeah, they've already announced 3 episodes so far. The first 2 have guests and musical talent.
Yeah, Chris Pratt is hosting the first one with Ariana Grande as the musical guest.
And then Sarah Silverman and Maroon 5, excuse me. And then on February 15th is the 40th anniversary special. It'll be a 3-hour primetime special celebrating SNL's 40th year on the air.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, so there's a little SNL on there, and I would be surprised if they didn't mention Dick in the Box because, hey, tie into yesterday with Epic Meal Time. Or Epic Meal
that was good. That was a really good episode of Epic Meal Time. That show we are more and more enamored with that show every time we watch it. It just gets funnier and funnier, and it has caused Erin, who had not heard of Epic Meal Time before seeing Epic Meal Empire, it's caused her to go back and start watching episodes on YouTube.
I honestly loved Natalie with the whole little mini Epic Meal Time episode in there as the mini Muscles glasses, where they're like, "What do you think?" And she's got the aviators on. She's like, "Bam!" Flips them off the thumbs down. That was just awesome. It was the same thing I said yesterday, but still, it just makes me laugh every time I think about it.
She's been a good addition.
Oh yeah. But no. So here, let's get on away from the news and talk Big Brother. Do you think this is going to be the time we see Frankie going to jury?
I'm not going to lie. I certainly hope so. I am glad that Derek was able to get Caleb to not skip over nominating Frankie because exactly the reason that he said. If Frankie got the veto and he wasn't already on the nominations, then he could choose to get Victoria off of there, and then it would have been between Derek and Cody. It just gave him more power. That's the way that the whole golden power veto things has been working, and I don't think people still realize how important that power actually is and what can be done with it. They just think, oh, I got the veto, I can either take myself off, or if it's not me up there, I can take somebody else off. But they hardly ever think about the fact that I can take somebody else off and keep myself from being nominated at the same time. And that's a big power play, and that's something that I kind of wish that power would go away. Especially in the season when we had the teams of 2. It seemed like that power was unnecessary for at least the first half of the season. But at this point, this is when it really comes in handy, when you're in that last final stretch.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think it should be apparent to Frankie that it sort of is that he's been powerhousing over people a little too much. He should feel worried. He should feel concerned. Uh, but he deserves to go. He really
He
deserves to
does.
go.
He does. And my problem, honestly, my biggest problem with Caleb is he's not thinking clearly.
I don't know that
He's
Caleb has ever thought clearly about anything. You go back to the beginning of the show. He has really his thoughts
no.
are
He's
random.
no. He hasn't. He truly hasn't. I mean, he's sitting there and like he's still. I don't know what his deal is. Like he's like, oh, we still have got like he has his days off or something. Like when the three of them are sitting in the bathroom and like he's still thinking, oh, because of the rewind, we still have 2 weeks to go,
Oh,
and
right.
or something. And I'm like, dude, listen to Derek. You have final four after this. This is your last chance to get Frankie out. And I'm like, if you want to get him out because he is a competition beast, he's
Right.
won HOH the most.
I think
He's
Caleb wanted Frankie out. I just think that he didn't realize the best way to do it, and he was more concerned of like, well, if he stays, then he's going to come after me. It's like he's going to be coming after you anyways, dude. There's not much else that you can do about that. At this point in time, you're a more powerful threat to him than Cody is. You're certainly more powerful threat than Victoria is. Derek's the only person, and Derek has done stuff so well under the radar for the most part
oh
that,
yeah.
even though the jury knows it and has talked about it amongst themselves, the people inside the house don't know if the jury understands that. So it's easy for Frankie to look at Caleb and say, Caleb is my bigger competition, and I would get him out. I think it behooves Caleb to get Frankie out first, and I think he realizes that. I just don't think he understood the best route for it. But the nice thing about Caleb is that he can be manipulated really easily. The bad thing about Caleb is he can be manipulated really easily. And he's emotional sometimes, and when Frankie starts saying to him, oh, why would you do that? And, I've been your friend this whole time and everything, and even when I've gone behind your back and caused you to eliminate Amber and all these other things, I've still been really true to you and stuff. Caleb can be turned, and that's a problem. That's why Caleb's dangerous. Caleb also, I will say, in this last week especially, has been the funniest parts of the show.
Oh yeah.
It's just general weirdness of doing his semi karate. What did he call it?
Kicks?
His Judy-jitsu. And he's just saying some weird things. And just all of his stuff has just been so funny, where he goes and he sneaks up and he's watching Cody in the shower and then just freaks him out.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
all these moments. Caleb has been such my favorite to watch lately. Even though he's not my favorite to win, I just think he's gotten funnier and funnier because it's just getting easier living in there. And the problem with Big Brother 2 is, I remember this in earlier seasons, is that it finally gets down to a couple of people, and then they're still trying to do episodes with just those couple of people, and it's so dirt boring, and it's there's nothing for me to watch here. And then they start having the shows with like the remember when this happened and remember when this happened. It was like the episodes of Friends where they'd show clips from previous shows and stuff.
Yeah, it's the clip episode, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh great. And they've already done the burnout episodes where let's go visit their family, and it's like, no.
They haven't done that much of that this season. They've done a couple of episodes, but it's more
Because-
about certain pairings and stuff.
Yeah, because they've evicted all the interesting pairings.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I'm surprised that
only-
we haven't seen Derek's family really, or the cops and stuff that he works with, because he is an undercover cop. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not public knowledge. It's been talked about since the beginning of the season, but I'm just kind of surprised that we don't get the inner workings of Derek's mind from people who he works with and stuff. Maybe because they can't.
Yeah.
show up on the TV
Yeah, I
themselves.
mean, the only one we would really get would be either Derek or Caleb's family, and going, Caleb, he's just girl crazy.
I'm sure
He's and
CBS
he's
has got to be dying to try to get Ariana on there to talk about Frankie before he goes home or goes to the
yeah.
jury.
Or I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to get Ariana for finale.
Yeah, I'm
That's what
certain
I've
that
been. That's
if he
what
sticks
I've been
around,
thinking is.
I would think that she would probably show up. But if he's just in the jury house, she probably won't. Still, it's been a particularly good season overall. There's been frustrations. There are definitely people that got eliminated that I didn't want to get eliminated. But even then, having the moment this week where they all got to come back into the house and destroy the place essentially for the luxury competition,
Yeah.
and had their little infighting even with them and stuff, and all the cute little Hayden Nicole kissing sessions and stuff that all the guys in the house were like, oh, it's so great. It was great. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Well, and then, but yeah, I mean, again, I can only emphasize that. I so hope that Frankie gets eliminated, sent to the jury, and he can deal with all them and just all that repercussion
Maybe somebody will
of
finally talk to Christine.
yeah. Um, but now, shall we listen to each other while we talk Doctor Who in the episode Listen?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was it was horrible. Um, so I really enjoyed this episode. I keep saying that, but it's true every time. I heard watching SourceFed on their TV show on SourceFed Nerd, the YouTube channel, that one of them actually said that they would have liked to have seen this be the pilot. What would you think if this was the pilot episode,
I don't think it
or
would have
not the
worked.
pilot, the season premiere?
Right. I don't think it would have worked as the season premiere. I think the season premiere was necessary for what it was, which was a
Mhm.
lot of explaining to the audience this is why it's okay to like the new Doctor even though he's not young and cute. Um, I think they went a little overhanded with it, but I get why they did it. I especially like the season premiere because it gave us some anchors with the other characters, the people that we've seen every once in a while that show up, because those brought more familiarity in what would have already been an episode that was hard to jump into because of the fact that we're still not really certain with Clara yet who she is, and we had
Yeah,
no idea what this new Doctor was. So it gave us some grounding that I think was necessary. If this had been the next episode,
yeah. Actually,
possibly.
now I think that's what they were saying more is, he said that, but then he corrected himself in saying, episode two, not necessarily episode one, but episode two of this season.
And I can see that because this is a very strong episode. At the same time, I feel like I'm getting what each episode leads into with the next one. We're getting a slow build of who this new Doctor is, and it seems like the second episode we had the stuff with the military, we had stuff with Daleks, we established how he feels about Daleks. We were kind of still building on the is he a good guy, is he not a good guy kind of thing, because in the first episode it was the moment where it's very possible he pushed the clockwork guy out of the floating the spaceship type thing.
The
Um,
skin balloon.
yeah, but in the second one, we established that he has such hate that created the Dalek to learn from him to hate the other Daleks in a way that he didn't intend. It said more about him. It was
Yeah,
exposing how he is in this incarnation. And it also gave us the moments of he hates people in the military, which we knew was going to come into play with Pink at some point because he's a military guy. The third episode was the fun episode again. It showed a lot of the strength of Clara. I think that's the other thing is they are building Clara really well this season so
Oh
far,
yeah.
in these last 2 episodes especially. Um,
Which sort of sucks with the news, or at least that rumor that I heard, that she's leaving halfway through
that
this season.
I've heard the rumor. I've obviously read a lot of the same things you have, um, but she has said publicly that she's not. Just like Moffat has said that he's not planning on leaving after the season. But that's one of those things that you once the rumor's out there, you don't know until you know. It's
Yeah.
like iPhone 6 rumors until the iPhone 6 comes out. Damn you, you two. So it just I'm not choosing to think too much about that because they are kind of establishing stuff with her and this other character that she's sort of dating now. Overall, I think the episodes are getting stronger as they go along. This episode was really good. I don't think it was the greatest episode that everybody else is making it out to be. I think it was a good, solid episode. I think it gave some mysteries because we found that moment of her talking to the doctor as a young boy, finding out that Time Lords aren't
I
just something that
loved
you are, but something that you become.
Yeah, I loved that ending, dude. That was like, and then the whole, basically, she was the monster under the bed that sort of freaked out the doctor in the beginning here, sort of deal, and yet at the same time was what comforted him at the same time.
And pushed him, it basically protected him so that he would get to grow up to be the doctor, essentially.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's the same thing, and also at the same time, with that whole thing, they're in the barn from the 50th anniversary special, and I'm like, what? This is awesome. Just, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just like, sort of deal. And then also, like, whole other thing that they put it out on SourceFed Nerd, like, the whole season, like a subplot here is they're trying to find Gallifrey, and here Clara's like, whatever you have to do, don't go out the door. I'm like, he's trying to find Gallifrey. You're at Gallifrey. Mission accomplished, Clara. You're telling him don't go out the door. Come on.
Is that your little Job moment? Come on!
Yeah. But no, it's like, okay, then just go forward 2,000 years. But, and then I think they pointed out, someone pointed out, actually, no, it was one of the hosts pointed out that, with the thing with, pushing the Doomsday button from the 50th anniversary special was that you would always know, or you would always be separated from Gallifrey, sort of deal. Or you'd always be separated from whatever you blew up. So that was sort of why he would be separated as phones ring in my house.
Yeah, my phone's not working
But no,
in my house for some reason.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I love the episode. And then the preview for the next episode called Time Heist, I'm like, ooh, bank robberies in time. So excited.
I do love heist movies.
Wait.
And
Yes.
And it seemed like that was something that not really heist, but that was something that they really did well with the Matt Smith stuff, especially the Matt Smith / River Song stuff, is that they would jump around in time. The Pandorica episode,
Oh yeah.
the 2 episodes especially, where it was like, oh well, and then we go back to this point, and then we jump around to this point, and all these other things, and now Amy's in there instead of the Doctor, and all that weird stuff. That was some really good times. So
the one with what was it? The Impossible Astronaut and oh gosh, and then the next episode after that was a great one too.
Yeah, the way that they would fool you sort of at the end, but it would all come together, and it would bring a lot of pieces in from the whole season or half season into it. I like that aspect of Moffat's storytelling and how he does it. I like the one-off episodes too. Also, the last two episodes we haven't seen anything really with Missy in heaven.
Yeah, with the heaven, the paradise, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and also I am curious to figure out, if because I thought I heard it as news, but is Missy the master or is Charles Dance the master? Because I think it'd be brilliant casting if Charles Dance is the master, but I don't know. Um, and also I wanted to mention here the league because I wanted to save this for here for you because I think you would love this episode. This was episode 3 of the league. For I think it's season 6 or 5 or 6. I forget which season this is. And season 6. I remember because they posted season 5 the day before they aired season 6. And basically Kevin, the commissioner of the league, he goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, yeah, so your testosterone's low. And so he gives him a prescription for the T-gel, testosterone gel. And so he goes home and puts it on the bathroom counter, because his kids are older, his daughter's older, his baby, Chupa Batman, is young enough. His friends named him Chupa Batman. It wasn't like, you know what, let's name him a weird Hollywood name. Or whatever. His kid, he's not going to reach up, but Ruxin comes over, and with his kid, who's in Pee Wee baseball, and his mitts, not formed and all this stuff. It's so stiff, and so he's like, all right, here, go, and he has to go to the bathroom. Goes into the bathroom, sees this the T-gel, and thinks it's just some other form of gel or whatever, puts it in the mitt and goes home. Starts putting it in his mitt, thinking it's lube to stretch out the gel.
Yeah.
Yeah, to soften up the mitt. he starts giving himself steroids.
I think I saw the commercial for it because I saw the kid telling him to go out of his room or whatever.
Yeah. Get out of my room, Dad.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. That's the very first thing. And then he's like, what? And so then he sees, Ruxin sees the next day his kid basically get a base hit, and it's the coach played by Rob Riggle.
Of course.
Is in the same law firm. And so he's like, "Oh, this will work out great for my career." So they're thinking of his career instead of his kid. Mm-hmm. So by the end of the episode, his kid has chest hair like I have, and armpit hair, full. His kid has started hitting puberty, and his kid is 4, and
right.
starts getting, as he says, meaty clackers. Yes, and he hits a home run. And they start celebrating, and his baby Jeffrey is that's what he calls him. Goes, "Dad, something's wrong," and the pants rip right at his meaty clackers. He's like, "Are you juicing?" The ump's like, "Are you juicing your kid?" He's like, "No, we just naturally have meaty clackers." And he's like, "You guys forfeit." It's like, "What? We got meaty clackers!" And all this stuff.
Meaty clacker sounds like a new Nabisco snack.
But no, the league, I'm telling you, it's hilarious. You don't even have to really care about football.
Yeah, I got that.
Really
I watched some of the league last season, and yeah, you're right. It's not really about the sport. It's about guys being jerks to each other in relation to their contests with each other and stuff. But it's pretty funny. I never seem to catch it when it's on.
So you know about how they pick on Andre?
Yeah.
Well, this season he actually hires Jay Glazer. Well, not I don't, hires is a bad word, but he actually enlists Jay Glazer, the NFL football analyst, to help him out with this. Well, it comes to a point at the end, or like in the B plot, where Jay's like, "I said tap out. I said tap out." Like he's in the bar with the like feeding him lines, and he's sitting there going, "Tap out," like giving him the sign for tap out. And Jay comes over, and he's like, "I said tap out. You tap out." And and they're like, "Jake Glazer, what are you doing here?" Because Andre, the first 3 episodes, he's like giving essentially he's being Paul Scheer, not Andre, the character.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like giving all these witty comebacks and all this stuff. And they're like, what's up with Teflon here? Not and all this. And it's just been a great season so far. It's a shame that you only get like 10 episodes, and not the traditional, and not or like between 10 and 13 episodes, and not a longer season like you normally would with most shows.
Well, isn't
But
that
it's
most
great.
VFX shows, though? It doesn't seem like they have very long seasons. It's almost like
Yeah.
USA shows, too.
Yeah, but the great thing with it though is, it's not broken up like the USA
Right.
shows.
Yeah.
Like the USA shows, it's like you're just getting into it, you're getting comfy, and then, hey, we'll be back in 6 months.
Yep.
Sort of deal. But the league couldn't do that, to be honest, because it goes right along with football season.
Well, this is the other reason why we should have kept the XFL.
Oh gosh.
Every chance I get, I'm going to remind people you should have kept the XFL. Rice is going to need a job. Should have had the XFL. Just.
Oh gosh. Actually, I think at the time I was a fan of the XFL.
I tried watching a game. And it's like me trying to watch football in general. But
Yeah.
I was like, really, I should. It's getting in on the ground floor of what is a really stupid attempt at a sport. But oh well.
But yeah, and then the other thing I watched this week, while I was doing laundry, was Good Morning Vietnam. It was my first time really watching it, because I think the only other time I watched Good Morning Vietnam was like way back. I think I was like 14, 15 years old, and it was on like Fox like Saturday afternoon or something, like after cartoons and after some paid programming. So it's like I remember, like, I think there was a commercial break here, because it'd be like, "Good Morning Vietnam will be back after this." But that was a great movie. I love that movie.
I saw Good Morning Vietnam in the theater when I was a kid. I'm trying to remember what year that was that it came out. But
85.
yeah, so I would have been about
85.
14. No, 87. So I was 16, which makes sense
87.
because
Very
at
similar.
that point in time, I had felt the desire, looking for direction in my life. Of course, my first instinct is I want to be a game show host. But after that, coming to the reality that I was never going to be able to host The Price is Right, I thought that I would like to be a radio personality, a DJ, someone who got to talk for a living. Weird. And I also attempted to go into the military because of Good Morning Vietnam. I didn't realize that there was such a thing as a radio personality in the military. Now, of course, that's a very specialized thing, and I'm sure a lot of people ran out to try to join the different military forces and wanted to be a DJ after that, thinking, oh, that's how I'll make that happen. Probably wasn't going to happen, but it did shape a lot of the things that I tried to do in that age, because it was just so cool. And of course, again, Robin Williams, surrogate TV dad, loved him, loved everything that he did, even the weird stuff. Moscow on the Hudson. So it was a big deal to me. It was also the first movie that I really noticed Forrest Whitaker in. I know that I had seen him in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but it was like I walked out of that going, this Forrest Whitaker guy, he's got some potential. Yeah, a lot of potential. Years later,
Yeah,
Ghost Dog. Ghost Dog is the coolest movie ever.
and oh gosh, who's the dude in the back of the truck, the military police in the truck. What's his name? Um, he's
Bruno
in
Kirby?
the black guy in the back of the truck.
Oh no, I don't know who is. Unfortunately, I don't know which character that was. But Bruno Kirby was in it.
He was in. I want to say he's in. The NBC. The NBC TV show that'd be going in its third season now. With set in Portland. Set in Portland. Crap! Why can't I think of the name of the show?
Tell me what the show's about. Give me something to go on.
The one dude is Grimm. That's the name of the show.
Okay.
But I think it's the same guy who was the partner of the dude who's a Grimm. I think. I could be completely off.
Yeah, I don't. But
know. I noticed him immediately. I noticed him immediately when I got towards the end, and I'm like, but I also know he's the dad in Smart Guy, starring Taj Mahari. Because again, that was my childhood. Was that on NBC? I think in the second round of Teen NBC, right thereafter, Saved by the Bell. I think it was like Saved by the Bell, the new class or something, and then they did Smart Guy and some other show that I barely remember. I think I more remember the theme song than the show itself. But oh gosh, but no, I'm like, I know the dude. I've seen him in other things. And the first thing immediately is like, oh, Smart Guy, he played the dad.
Not thinking of the name, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just overall,
but no.
Good morning, Vietnam. The Fisher King. Obviously, Good Will Hunting. Dead Poet Society. Just such an amazing bunch of films from this guy who started out playing an alien in a guest spot on Happy Days and then rolled off into his own show and stuff. Just the unexpected brilliance of his roles and the movies that he got to be a part of and headline and make, people talk about 20 years later, 30 years later. It just still amazes me. You don't really think about, oh yeah, Robin Williams is really funny, or Robin Williams is really good. But when you go down the list and you see all those different things, and you just kind of remember how much they affected you, like the first time you saw them, like Good Morning Vietnam just blew my mind as a kid. And I don't like movies about war in general, but it was such a great role for him that was funny, heartbreaking. It just kind of pulled you in and taught you, if it was your first time really experiencing this stuff, how devastating war can be, how much the Vietnam War really was horrific, how we were, even in trying to do good things, we're still on the wrong side of it. It's just, man, just crazy good film. I think a lot of those movies I haven't watched in a while because of the fact that the tragedy of it all kind of tears me up a little bit. And right now it'd probably be particularly hard. But I really want to do that. I want to go back and watch a bunch of Williams' films to see some of these things again and just kind of remember and maybe see it with new eyes. Since it's been such a long time. Aaron was watching it on Society a couple months ago, and I'd walk in and I would just kind of shake my head because I'm just not prepared for Dead Poet Society right now. I just can't do it today, baby. It's too hard. It's just not ready for that kind of emotional turmoil. But maybe I should study myself and try to get into it. Garp. Well, Garp is nuts. Well, and then Garp's not nuts because car accident, the Undertoad. John Lithgow. John Lithgow. Anyway. So yeah, that's a good call. That was a good pull.
Yeah, it was something I found because it was one of those Netflix had it in their popular movies section. Since Robin Williams passed, and I'm like, well, I've been wanting to watch Dead Poet Society. Well, Dead Poet Society is one of those I've been wanting to watch, but Good Morning Vietnam had been one that I've been wanting to watch for a while. And then with Netflix adding it, the first of the year or of the month, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch this, and I started watching it, and then I just finished it Sunday, and I'm like, all right, done, and I'm like, all right, I'm like, I don't even know if I was gonna talk about it because with us even talking about the news of Robin's passing, I knew how hard it was for you, and I'm like, it was for me too, but it was just like how I know how it's just how we handle things differently.
And I think it's hard for a lot of people,
mm-hmm.
and I think maybe that's something that I found a little bit of comfort with is how many people are reacting very similarly. How many people have felt that same way? Robin Williams taught me it was okay to be a weirdo.
Oh yeah, same here.
And it's also you're weird in your own shell, and to have all these people that probably felt the same way. I mean, I'm an adult now, and I get it. You feel very alone when you're in middle school, junior high, high school. With some people manage those things great. I am not one of them. But when you get out into life and you kind of realize, oh wait, that wasn't just me. That was almost everybody universally. Even the popular people felt really alone and felt really like I don't fit. I don't have a place. People, if they knew me, they wouldn't understand me. That kind of thing. Robin Williams, in that time, was something that I gravitated towards because at that point he made me feel like I was okay. At least there was somebody out there that I could look up to that seemed like me, even if he was just playing roles. But the roles he picked were always kind of weird roles. And then you'd see his comedy, and his comedy was really off, and the way that he would just spin from one thing to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Following Robin Williams is like literally being on the harshest, most violent ride in an amusement park, where you are just being driven back and forth and pulled, and your neck's twisting around, and your head's all like, and you feel like you're going to throw up, but you can't help but love the entire time of it. And that was what he would do on stage every time. And he had such a great sense of humor, and even when he would go, and I remember seeing him on Dennis from Saturday Night Live. I can't think of his name. Unfortunately, one of the old news anchors. He had a talk show for a while, but when he went on there, and they were kind of like riffing on each other, and he was making fun of Dennis because he would do this with his hair all the time, and he's like making fun of him doing this, and Dennis is like, "Oh, you can do that all the way down your back," and Robin just died laughing. He just thought it was the funniest thing ever, and I'm like, that being able to laugh at yourself was so important, and again, that was something that I learned from him, and so Dennis Miller, exactly, Dennis Miller. So it's just like, man, to see the outpouring of emotion from everybody, and to have the world kind of feel the same way, and it's nice to see more people react in that way. Erin posted about Joan Rivers. She wasn't a big Joan Rivers fan, but she really respected a lot of what Joan Rivers did. You know, where she came from, how she did comedy. She was just really strong. She was, you know, able to stand her own against people like Don Rickles. She would crack Don Rickles up to the point where he was in tears laughing at her.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that reaction as opposed to the vehement "I don't care" or "he was stupid" or "his movies were crap." Oh, he did that really bad movie. You know, it's just like, no. A lot of people just felt like they lost a friend, and even though he wasn't really our friend, I understand the reality of it. He was. He was somebody that I felt akin to, even if he never knew me. And to have all those people that feel that way, it just feels like you're a little less alone in the world.
No,
and
yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, and it's nice that we have all his art and stuff to come back to and still enjoy.
Yeah, and I mean, in Mock the Week, they did a funny thing with Joan Rivers where they cracked fun, and some of the people went, "Oh," and they're like, "It's what she would have wanted.
It's what she would have done." Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the one time where I'm like, yeah, it's what she would have wanted. Like Dara O'Brien, I think Dara O'Brien, the host, he said that, and I'm like, yeah, I believe him, because I mean, it's like, and like Seth Meyers, he said it like right at the day where she passed, about like how she wrote. Sorry, my sister pulled in, so dog has to bark.
No, the dog's just telling her, you know, commenting on how she's dressed.
Yeah. But how Joan literally wrote, like, had file cabinets of, like, everybody. Like, she wrote and, like, had file cabinets on, like, anybody that she knew. And I'm like, good Lord. And I'm like, man, you could write, like, if Melissa wanted and like the family wanted, they could print Joan Rivers joke books about all these people.
Yeah, and to bring it out there, but trying to make sure that people don't take it as mean. That's the thing, is that the jokes might be very funny, but without Joan delivering them, they probably would sound mean. So you really have to know whose voice you're reading it in when you do it. But yeah, that's the thing. When you go to see a comedian, there are certain comedians especially that you want to be the one that they pick on. You want to be the one singled out in the audience. You want the abuse. As mean as it sounds and as weird as it seems that would be the case, sometimes you just it's the fact that they're paying attention to you, that they're ripping you apart, but it's not with malice, but it's with a lot of skill. That can be really, I don't know, inspiring is not the right word, but it can really kind of make you feel something that you wouldn't normally get to feel. You know, that just like, oh yeah, tear me up, but you know, don't be a jerk about it. I do that with my friends. You ever do that with your friends where you just kind of like rip on each other, but you're not trying to be a dick. You're just, you know, it's just that's how you are with your friends. We do that a lot, and I sometimes I often cross the line into pure dickishness, unintentionally. It's not like I'm really trying to go that far. I just don't know where the line is. I assume it's something that I've painted over, and so when it happens that I've gone too far and people feel bad, that I feel worse. I feel a lot worse. But the next week we just go back to ripping on each other again, because that's what friends do. And so when it's a comedian that you don't even know doing it and they're like an expert, it's even better. It's even cooler.
No, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, and it's a shame to me that, you know, how many people will become famous in the future that will never have the honor to be ripped apart by Joan Rivers. or to get to know um Robin, you
Yeah,
know.
and it's the same thing we talked about the other day on the 616, is that we will see the generation of people who won't necessarily know their work, but will be influenced by the people who are influenced by them. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's kind of like you may see a kid today who doesn't know Eddie Murphy's Raw or Delirious, but they might have followed Chris Rock, and through Chris Rock they got Eddie Murphy, and through Eddie Murphy they got Richard Pryor,
Hmm.
and it's just the generation to generation to generation, uh, and that's okay. You know, if as long as it filters well, it can be good. It's the people who get the jokes but don't get the heart. That's always what you worry about, because when you talk about someone like Robin or Joan or Don Rickles or a lot of these comedians, it wasn't hate, it wasn't spite, it was love, but it was love of being funny. And I see that in some of the current comedians. I think Jim Norton gets a lot of crap because he says really inappropriate stuff. Really inappropriate stuff. But
Oh
again,
yeah.
he's not mean. He can appear mean, but what he's saying is out of the love of comedy, not out of the love of hurting people.
Same
And I think
thing
people
with
miss the distinction.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name of. There's a British comedian, or I should say a UK comedian, Frankie Boyle, I think is his name. He was on like the first 5 seasons of Mock the Week. Like he was on the early seasons of Mock the Week, and like he would say horrible things. And this is on the BBC. You gotta remember,
Yeah.
where it's like sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. It just depends on the time of day. And like my friends on Mumble were telling me about this dude, and I'm like, ooh, nah, I don't know if I like the if I don't know if he'd make it over here exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's very much like Jim Norton in a lot of the ways. Like he's not necessarily saying it for to be hurtful. He's just saying it for the comedy, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we've covered enough, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a pretty full show for the fact that you guys did a pretty full show yesterday, and
Yeah,
I want to publicly thank Evan and Beatmaster and you for doing the show yesterday. Uh, with me not being able to be here, it's nice to see the show go on like that with the great people that we are able to work with and be friends with.
of course. So I should probably point out that to find out more about our goings on, you could follow us at EltsNerds on the Twitter, and to make sure you can and you can also make sure to like our Facebook group at facebook.com/or/EltsNerds shows, and to see the full archives of our shows, of our past episodes and other shows, you can visit the EltsNerds YouTube channel at eltsnerds.com. And also, we have a sister network, the Galactic Netcasts, where they do such fine shows as the Alien Invasion and the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, where I believe I've heard rumors of one Jackie Hearn as being the Sci-Fi Geek of the Week this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I listened to the last episode of Sci-Fi Geeks Club on my drive to and from work today, and really good episode. They had a fan on, which I thought was a really cool thing to do, and a lot of Doctor Who discussion and stuff. Really, really good episode. I love that show, man. I always say it. It's not just because I know them. It's because I really dig what they do. So
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Geeks Club, the Alien Invasion podcast, both really good from the Galactic Netcasts. You should definitely check them out. They're available on Stitcher and through iTunes.
Yeah. And if you are watching us live, because I see we have a viewer here in the audience, who maybe it's Wendy, but maybe not. Maybe you're someone else. We normally don't record at Tuesdays. But normally we record Mondays for the What Else Is On show. We normally record Mondays at 9:30 East, 6:30 West. Do not know what that is, UTC, and I will not remember it since we are almost out of daylight savings time. So maybe I will do that. The vultures are always ready, Corey, as Beatmaster so cleverly says.
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
But yes, and
every other Saturday we have
go for it, Corey.
Every other Saturday, which would not be this Saturday, but the following Saturday, we have our comic podcast, which would be the Else Nerd 616. We talk about comics, comic-related news, comic-related stuff, web comics. Occasionally, we have really cool interviews. Something you should definitely check out from this last week is the interview guest spot we had with Wendy Martin of Kappa Comic, which was really good. I was so excited to have her. She's quite awesome. So keep that in mind, too. You can check that out at elsenerds.com.
Yeah. And this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. Take care, everyone.
Night, everybody.